A lot of the Orlando Magic this season are players looking to prove their way, but there are two players specifically who are probably in make or break seasons. The story of Jonathan Isaac and Jett Howard today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is September 23rd, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we're not concluding our countdown to camp, but we're concluding the player portion of our countdown to camp by looking at players who have a lot to prove this year, players who might be on make or break seasons. We've already done Anthony Black, so we're not going to talk about him again, but why Jonathan Isaac needs to rebound this season in more ways than one, and what to do with Jett Howard. We'll get to that, plus Noah Penda today on Locked On Magic. Before we do any of that, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic an even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies. That means you're listening to us Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Get in the habit now. Training camp starts next week. So build up the stamina, get the wind sprints in, get all that done because the season is here. It's all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. The Orlando Magic know a lot. They know Paolo Banchero is going to be good. They know Franz Wagner is going to be good. They know Desmond Bane is going to be good. Jalen Suggs is working his way back from injury. We might talk a little bit more about him tomorrow. They know a lot about this team, but there's still so much that is unknown. We don't know what Anthony Black is going to be like in a big role. We don't know how Mo Wagner returns from injury. We don't know if Goga Bitadze is going to be consistent, if Wendell Carter has rediscovered a shot. There are a lot of things we don't know, and that is inherent to the risk of what the Magic have done, because they've gone from a team that had a lot of cap flexibility and a lot of contract flexibility to almost none. They almost have no way to maneuver. Paolo's on a 5-year deal. Franz is on a 5-year deal. Jalen Suggs is on a 5-year deal. Wendell Carter's got 3 more years coming up after this one. Goga Bitadze can be a free agent. Mo Wagner can be a free agent. Anthony Black's due his rookie extension next summer, in 2 summers. He's extension eligible next summer. Jonathan Isaac has 3 more years left on his deal. And so for the Magic, finding a way to be flexible is vital, because this is their team. This is the group they have. And so they need the players on this roster to deliver. There were a lot of things that went wrong in 2025. It is a minor miracle the Magic finished at 41-41 and made the playoffs the way that they did. They had the injuries. Paolo missed 2 months. Franz missed 20 games. Jalen Suggs played only 36 games. They had the injuries. But on top of that, it was the career worst seasons that so many players had. It was Wendell Carter shooting less than 30% from 3. It was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's worst 3-point shooting season since 2016. It was so many of these things. And then there is Jonathan Isaac. And then there is J.I., a player still of immense talent and impact. A player who still does so many things that are positive and good in the game. A player that is frankly really difficult to let go of because of all those things that he can do. But a player who still hasn't quite found his fit in the league or on this team, especially coming off his own injury issues. He is a player who is clearly elite at something. but still hasn't put all the pieces together to be a contributing team. And on top of that, made a body transformation that just didn't work out for him. That just didn't work. Plain and simple, it just didn't work. Last year, Jonathan Isaac struggled. The Magic had him go up to 250 pounds, trying to play him a little bit more center, be that versatile center, and he looked a step slow. Just plain and simple, he looked a step slow. I can give you the numbers. Averaged 5.4 points per game. Not much of a score anyway, but shot only 25.8% from three. Shot 41.4% from the floor. It's always been the case that Jonathan Isaac has been a little bit of a drain on offense. Shot 37.5% from three in 2024. He's got to make threes. He's got to give you something on offense. And the fact of the matter is, because he was playing a little heavier last year, he was a little slower. And so not only was his offense not particularly good on a team that doesn't have a lot of offensive weapons to begin with and had some really bad misses from three, regularly bad misses from three, his defense was no longer elite. Now, I want to make this absolutely clear. Jonathan Isaac is still a really good defender. He was still one of the best defenders on the team last year. Even if we all said, oh no, he's noticeably slower. He's noticeably a little heavier. That weight is playing a role on him. He doesn't have the same explosiveness, the same speed getting across the lane to block shots. Part of that wasn't there. The Magic still had a 106.6 defensive rating with him on the floor that trailed only Gary Harris, Jalen Suggs, and Franz Wagner. It was 2.5 points per 100 possession better than the team's overall average. Jonathan Isaac still makes a positive impact on defense. The difference is he wasn't elite last year. He wasn't otherworldly. He wasn't a 104, 103, 102 in a league that routinely 110 is like average. The question then for Jonathan Isaac is can we just disregard last season as a mistake? A mistake by the Magic to have him put on the weight and play more center. A mistake by Isaac for going along with it. It was just a mistake. Because obviously now the stakes are much higher. Obviously now the Magic want to do more things. They want to win more games. And I've said this a million times, and it's still true. You can't give up on players who do something at an elite level. You just can't. And for the longest time, Jonathan Isaac was the only player on the team that did anything at an elite level. The only player that we could say, oh, he's going to be in the award hunt. He's going to be on an all-defensive team. The Magic didn't have anybody like that. That's changed now. They have Paolo and Franz. They'll both be all-NBA players. They'll both be all-stars. They do things at an elite level. But this is the fact of the matter. The cap crunch is coming. We all feel it. We all sense it. It's not this year. The Magic are hard capped at the first apron. They'll pay the tax. But that second apron is looming next year, 2027. That second apron is looming. The chance that the Magic are going to have to make some cuts is around. And right now, this is about results. This is about getting the job done. This is about doing something that helps this Magic team win. Jonathan Isaac can be that guy. Jonathan Isaac can help the Magic win playoff games. But it's not going to happen if he struggles on offense like he did last year. He's got to give them something on offense. I mentioned those defensive numbers. When Jonathan Isaac was on the floor, the Magic had a 105.9 offensive rating. That is 3 points per 100 possessions worse than their season average. The only rotation player that had a lower on-court offensive rating was Jalen Suggs. There's no longer concern about Isaac's health. He played 71 games last year. It is likely that non-guarantee clause is going to kick in. I think it's 52 games. If he plays 52 games, the next season on his contract gets guaranteed. But the Magic need a healthy Jonathan Isaac. They need an active Jonathan Isaac. They need a contributing Jonathan Isaac. And there is no time to wait. If Isaac cannot give the Magic something on offense, cannot hold his own in those minutes on the offensive end, they're probably going to have to give up on a player with an elite skill. And they're going to, and the cover to do so is even greater because of the draft pick that they made. I know Penda is waiting in the wings. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Most people cannot name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface, whether it's on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. With Monarch Money, you can identify that you aren't saving as much as you thought. They can help you notice inefficient investments, allocations, and discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs. Getting everything organized into one location is so key to taking control of your finances. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. The urgency for Jonathan Isaac should be great. Like, look, he's been in the league a long time. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. And look, he's real enough. I think he understands that the weight gain didn't work for him. And so, yeah, everyone's going to give him the chance. He said he got back down to a comfortable weight. He started to look more like himself. And again, I want to repeat this. We're so used to Jonathan Isaac being an elite defender, we think good defense is bad. Jonathan Isaac was still a really good defender, was still a positive defender for this team last year. And again, it's about making sure he could play more minutes. He averaged only 15.4 minutes per game last year, which is about the same as 2024. But the Magic couldn't trust him for long stretches because he couldn't give them anything on offense. Now, maybe the Magic's offense is a little better this year. Maybe the Magic are able to score a little bit more. Maybe they don't need Isaac to give them that. They can fill in elsewhere. But Isaac's got to prove himself on both ends of the floor. He's got to prove consistency. He's got to prove that he can be relied on for major minutes, that he can play 20, 30 minutes when needed. If Paolo has to take a night or Franz has to take a night. That's not likely. Both Paolo and Franz are tanks. They do not get hurt unless they're tearing their obliques. Franz will miss games here and there with sprained ankles. Paolo missed 8-9 games in his rookie season with a sprained ankle. Those guys do not miss games. Knocking on wood. I'm not concerned about Paolo and Franz missing a ton of games. So maybe that's not important. But the Magic got to get something, especially for the cost that they're paying Isaac, especially at that price point, all things considered. But the fact of the matter is, the Magic may have already previewed that they know what's coming down the line. They know this decision is going to get made. And they know, and certainly I think there has to be a little bit of sense of, I've got to perform this year if I'm Jonathan Isaac. Because Noah Penda is waiting in the wings. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Noah Penda is ready to play major NBA minutes for a championship level team. I don't quite believe that. I think Noah will spend some time in the G League, will play some games for Osceola this year. But if you watch Summer League and you watched how he played, it is hard not to believe that Noah Penda can be a quality player for the Magic and can do a lot of the things that the Magic are looking for. In Noah Penda, Orlando drafted this bundle of potential. A player with a long wingspan, defensive instincts, physicality, and size who can handle the ball and get up and down the floor. Now, I'm not going to pretend that skill is refined enough that I want to do that in the NBA. Again, Noah Penda has a long way to go. He's got a lot of work ahead of him. A lot of work. But it's hard not to have watched him play in Summer League and think he can play the role that Jonathan Isaac's been playing, and he'll obviously be much cheaper. It's hard not to make that connection. In fact, the moment Penda was drafted, it was easy to say, this guy this guy literally does a lot of things the Magic want Jonathan Isaac to do. That's life in the NBA, I hate to say. And look, I like J.I. as a person. I love him as a player. I think he could still be a really good player in this league. But decisions are going to get made. The question is, how far along is Penda? How quickly can Penda push for playing time? Again, I'm not expecting it this year. He's still very, very raw, but I'll admit he was a lot further along in Summer League than I was led to believe, that he could be. He did a lot more interesting things at Summer League as a ball handler, as someone who wants to get down the floor, even as a shooter. He's still got a long way to go as a shooter. So if shooting is really important, that Jonathan Isaac's got to be a better shooter. Noah Penda's got a long way to go on that end too. But that's kind of the deal for a lot of these players. Jace Richardson, the other Magic rookie, is going to be kind of waiting in the wings for, when Tyus Jones is off the team. And again, that's probably just a one-year deal with Tyus Jones. The Magic are going to give Jace kind of this gap year to learn the NBA, to get up to speed. Again, he might spend some time in Osceola. I'm a little more skeptical of him spending time in Osceola than Penda, but Penda's got something to his game. In 3 Summer League games, he averaged 11.3 points per game, 7.7 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game. He shot 15 for 29. That's 51.7%. And again, 3 for 10 from 3. Nothing to write home about, but probably a little bit better than we anticipated. He showed that ball handling potential. He showed that he can be a big body, that he can hold his own at that Summer League level. And again, in Summer League, this is my rule for Summer League. I know it's been 2 months in Summer League. My rule for Summer League is Summer League proves that not whether you can play, but whether you can't play. It's good to know someone can do something than they can't. And Noah Penda showed us he can do things. He can play on an NBA floor. Again, I say this every year too. There's going to be a moment in the season where you're going to need all 15 players on your roster or 18 players on your roster. Everyone's going to be needed at some point. There's going to be a game where the Magic need Noah Penda to give them something. And I left Summer League a lot more confident that they're going to be able to get that from him. That he's not just going to be another gap year project. That he is a player and a future potential player on this team. Someone that gives them exactly what they need. Now, again, it's probably not going to be this year. This is not the season for him. He needs work. He needs to get some more experience. He needs some more seasoning. But just like with Desmond Maine, the Magic didn't give up a lot of their trade capital for nothing. They believe in this kid. They like this kid. And there's every reason to believe that he can take that step. Whether that actually applies pressure to Jonathan Isaac, whether that actually puts Jonathan Isaac under some heat, under some pressure, under some urgency to contribute to a championship team, I don't know if players think that way as much as fans do, to be perfectly honest. But undeniably, it is a warning sign that Jonathan Isaac has to do more. Because if he doesn't, they'll let Noah Penda marinate. They'll let him grow and get those opportunities. The last big question for the Magic on this roster, what to do with Jett Howard. Where Jett Howard fits in the Orlando Magic. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel is great because it fits however you like to bet, whether it's player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays, or frankly, to get ready for the NBA season. Magic over under is still 50.5. They're still third favorite to win the Eastern Conference. Just saying, we're getting to the NBA season here. We're gonna have, do we even have preseason lines? Oh boy, I am going real sicko mode here, trying to look up NBA preseason lines. I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't yet. I don't think it's up yet. Nope, we only got opening night games, so no preseason lines yet. Thank God. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. It has been a rough career for Jett Howard. Look, the Magic took a flyer on him. I think we all agree on that. He was off my board. I was just so unconvinced by his defense that I didn't think the Magic would even consider him. But I said it that draft, the 2023 draft. I said it that draft. The Magic could not get out of that draft without acquiring a shooter of some sort. Whether it was Grady Dick, Jordan Hawkins, or I didn't have Jett Howard on my board, or Jett Howard was the other shooter that a lot of Magic fans considered. The Magic needed one of those players. To say the least, Jett Howard has not delivered through 2 seasons. Just not even close. He shot 7 for 25 in 18 games for the Magic in his rookie season in 2024. He shot 55 for 186. That's 29.6% last season. Now, obviously, there's some caveats to that. Didn't play a lot. Didn't get consistent minutes. Your rhythm's going to be off. Having said, I've heard a lot of people compare him to JJ Redick and his early seasons in his career. Remember, when the Magic drafted JJ Redick, they took a little bit of a flyer on him as well. He didn't really fit what Brian Hill was trying to do at the time. Brian Hill was very much about defense. His teams didn't shoot a lot of threes. Brian Hill's team was actually the last team to not make a three in an NBA game for the Orlando Magic. So when you see that tweet, that's your little tidbit there from 2007 or 2006, whatever it was. But even so, even though JJ wasn't getting a lot of playing time, he still shot 38, 39% from three. It wasn't like he forgot how to shoot. It was just the Magic were focused on other things. With Jett Howard, you have to honestly ask yourself, what does Jett Howard do that has earned him playing time? What does Jett Howard do in the moments that he is on the floor for however long they are? What does he do that tells you he should get more minutes? Now, again, I get it. It's not playing enough to really make conclusions. And I always remember this comment from Stan Van Gundy back when he was the head coach of the Magic. Everyone was making a big deal about Dwight working out with Hakeem Olajuwon, and Stan said, like, look, he works out with Patrick Ewing every day. Patrick Ewing was an assistant coach. He was the big man coach for those Magic teams. And Stan was like, it's not like Patrick Ewing was a terrible post player either. Dwight's working with an elite post player every single day. And I always remember that lesson because it reminds me that the coaches see a lot more than we do. They get to see practices. They watch practice tape. Practices are filmed. They see so much more than we do. And we obviously, games matter. Those results matter. We're working on an incomplete picture. Again, that might matter if, say, Jett was playing but struggling and they kept going to him and be like, no, like, he's doing something right if they keep going to him. Similarly, he must, there's no other conclusion to draw than he's doing something wrong if they're not trusting him. And look, Jett was never a great defender. I don't care what Jeff Weltman said on draft night, like saying, oh no, he's hurt. That's why his defense was bad. I was like, no, his defense was not good. And he's gotten better as a defender. I'm not going to say that. He's a better player now. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to trust. It all comes down to, does the coach trust you to get the job done? Does the coach trust you to deliver, to execute the game plan, to execute what the team is trying to accomplish? And at the end of the day, Jett Howard's translatable NBA skill, the thing that he was supposed to do that got him in the league to be the 11th pick, was his shooting. And it was his volume shooting. And he takes enough threes. He takes a lot of threes when he's in games, but it's just not delivering. And even in the games that Jett Howard played meaningful minutes, and again, it wasn't very long, it wasn't significant, it wasn't consistent, even when the Magic were dealing with all their injuries. In the games where Jett Howard got minutes, played 33 minutes in the finale against the Hawks, 2 for 7 from 3 for 16 points. Had 6 turnovers in that game. Again, that game was a throwaway. Same deal. 29-36 in the penultimate game against the Pacers. 2 for 7 from 3. 7 for 12 overall. One of the few games where he took a lot of 2-point shots. 17 points. 25-40 against the Charlotte Hornets in February. That last game before the All-Star break. Huge blowout win. 2 for 8 from 3 for 6 points. The loss of the Utah Jazz, one of the first games without Jalen Suggs, I believe, January 5th. It was the first game without Jalen Suggs, in fact. 25 and a half minutes, 4 for 10 from 3. Had a really strong first quarter to score 21 points. Magic still lost the game by 13. 23-23 against the Charlotte Hornets in November. Blowout win around Thanksgiving, 0 for 4 from 3. Plus 16, at least was that. You go through the list, and it's just like, where are the high-volume shooting games where he shoots the ball well and makes an impact on winning? It is unfair, but this league is unfair. And the fact of the matter is, Jett hasn't, at least to our eye and to our conclusions, hasn't earned opportunity. And when he's been given the opportunity, he hasn't made it undeniable that he should play. He hasn't taken advantage of the chances he's gotten. And at a certain point last year, those opportunities ran out. It's just like he doesn't have the trust. This season, more than Jonathan Isaac, feels like a last chance season for Jett Howard. It feels like if he doesn't deliver, if he doesn't prove something or push for some playing time, or make it hard for the coaches to sit him. And I'm saying doing that right now in the workouts they're doing at the Advent Health Training Center, in camp, in preseason. He may not get his option picked up for his 4th season. This may be it for Jett Howard. And frankly, he needs to enter the season with that mindset that this is it. If he doesn't play well enough, if he doesn't get the job done, his NBA career is probably over. It was a cap quirk. Frankly, it was a cap quirk that Caleb Houston's off this team because Caleb Houston had more trust than Jett Howard. Caleb Houston proved himself over and over again. Even when he wasn't playing, he made enough shots to stay in the game. He understood the defense well enough to stay in the game. And again, I am flabbergasted. I am still shocked that Caleb Houston's only on an Exhibit 10 with the Hawks. That dude is an NBA player. I don't know if I could say the same for Jett Howard. And so there is a lot riding on Jett Howard this training camp, this practice, and even this preseason to prove that he can be a rotation player, to prove all of this analysis moot. It's on him to get that job done. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You can find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the fun places to download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. You can find this podcast as well on YouTube. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Already did that part of my read. I got it memorized. I apologize. For even more Orlando Magic content, though, check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to me, be sure to go check out the Locked On NBA Top 100 because it's here with the season right around the corner. the NBA host of the Locked On Podcast Network, formed this list. To rank the players in the league because we're the experts. We know our teams better than anyone. We know this league better than anyone. Find the full list on Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. You can go check out my reaction to this list. This was 2 weeks ago. I did an episode with Kuka Heel of Locked On Pistons to discuss Cade Cunningham and Paolo Banchero. And I did an episode breaking down where the Magic are on the list and how they get higher on next year's list. Again, that was 2 weeks ago, Tuesday and Wednesday. Check that out in our archives and check out all our other great episodes as well. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. On tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic, we'll talk a little bit about what Jalen Suggs said on the Sixth Man Show podcast. Our friends at the Sixth Man Show got to talk to Jalen Suggs, gave us a brief update on his health status. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, how the Orlando Magic's offense is set to change. We'll continue our countdown to camp with some bigger global issues. We'll get to that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.